Imagine this. Your students are quietly focused, each working independently. Maybe they're sorting colorful blocks, matching patterns, or organizing objects by size. Sounds like magic, right? Or maybe they're just playing. As special educators, we know deep down that these types of tasks matter, but sometimes it's hard to put into words. This episode is all about trusting your instinct and understanding the why behind these activities so you can feel confident in using them and explaining their value. Hey, special educators, I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning. Welcome to the Special Educators Resource Room. If you're like me, you're always looking for ways to save time and streamline your work. That's why this podcast was created, to give you the systems and solutions you need to get your time back. Tune in for tips, tricks, and tools that will help you manage your workload and make the most of your time. Whether you're brand new or experienced, all are welcome in the Special Educators Resource Room. Welcome back to another episode of Special Educators Resource Room. I'm Jennifer from Positively Learning, and I'm so thankful you're tuning in. Today, we're talking all about sorting and classification tasks. And you might be thinking, sorting? Isn't that just the basic stuff that we do with little kids? And yes, it absolutely starts young. But sorting and classifying are so much more than simple early math tasks. These are foundational skills for developing critical thinking, cognitive growth, and even social skills. Because sorting helps us make sense of the world. We're recognizing patterns, forming connections, and these set the stage for more advanced learning. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing why this matters, examples of activities that you can start using right away, and some tips for incorporating sorting into your already packed lesson plans. I'm going to be talking to special educators, general educators, homeschool families out there. You're all going to find something here to support your learners. Now, you don't need to take notes. I already did that for you. I have a blog post all about sorting and classification with examples, and I will link that in the show notes. I already mentioned how sorting and classification are the foundational skills for critical thinking, but let's just dig a little bit further. It is so essential. So sorting isn't just about organizing objects. It's about organizing information. When students group objects by color, shape, or size, they're learning to make sense of the world both visually and cognitively. And then they're using those critical skills that help them identify differences and similarities, which is a huge part of building independent thought. And this is about so much more than just boosting math skills. These types of tasks also strengthen visual perception, hand-eye coordination, and language skills, because students are using language to describe what they're doing. That's vocabulary, that's expressive skills. And then it's not just about the academics. Sorting is helping our kids gain independence, focus, and organization skills. These are life skills that will support them through their education and in real life. So whether it's matching and sorting socks at home or grouping items in a task box, sorting and classifying are essential skills that we can and should start teaching as soon as possible. Quick side note, I'll be the first to admit I can get a little defensive, especially when I'm stepping into an advocate role. Last week's episode, 101, I talked all about why the idea of busy work, quiet work, filler work just makes me cringe. It's because I know how important this work is. And yes, it can be so cute and fun. And we want it to be engaging, but it's so much more than just playing. This is important work that's setting foundational skills. And I can get my back up when I feel like I need to defend or rationalize why we're doing what we're doing. All right, let me step off my soapbox. And now let's talk about some examples of sorting and classification activities. I've broken them down by skill level. For our youngest learners, or those just starting out, we can begin with very simple sorting tasks, like sorting socks. You can sort by color, by size, or even by pattern. Or you can let your students determine how they will sort, and then they can tell you. More sorting activities include sorting blocks or toys or school supplies. Students can sort by color, by size, by shape. You could even turn it into an SEL activity. Students can sort behaviors into kind versus unkind. This is blending social emotional learning with classification, which is giving students a chance to explore and deepen their understanding of what it means to be kind. Once they've got the basics down, you can start introducing tasks with more complexity. Here are some intermediate and advanced task ideas. You could do a community helpers match. Maybe it's matching items to the community helpers who use them, like a doctor with a stethoscope or a fire hose for a firefighter. For early literacy, you could start sorting picture cards by initial sounds. Or maybe you can sort picture cards by syllable counts, making a pile of words with 1 syllable, 2 syllables, or 3 syllable counts. You could also do recycling, combining environmental awareness with classification skills. So students could sort by recycle or not recycle, or they could even take it the next step and sort recycled materials like plastics, papers, and metals, giving that real world application and making those connections. I could go on and on with more examples, but you are probably already coming up with your own ideas. So now let's talk about teaching sorting and classification skills, because these sorting activities are powerful, but there's a few strategies we can use to even make them more impactful. So number 1, always starting simple. Beginning with those easy tasks, we want our students to experience success. So just sorting by one attribute, like color or size. It's great if you're using everyday items, like maybe goldfish crackers or pipe cleaners or crayons. Then begin increasing the complexity gradually. So once students are getting the hang of it, you can start introducing more complex sorting criteria, like sorting by sound or shape or behavior. This is a step-by-step increase that's going to help build their confidence and prepare students for more abstract concepts. Next, we want to start encouraging critical thinking. And one way to do this is by asking open-ended questions as they're sorting. Like, why did you put this here? Or what's different about these items? Yes, I know. Many students we're working with may not have those language skills. We can always model the language, but we want to encourage students to think about what they're doing, noticing those details, if they can, explaining their choices, because that's building both critical thinking and language skills. And whenever possible, we want it to be real life practice. Could you sort leaves outside by color or shape? Could you sort crayons by broken or unbroken? You could sort sensory bin items or other familiar objects. A real world connection can make sorting feel natural. And then students are going to start noticing these patterns and categories on their own. Now I want to share my favorite activity that I did pretty much every day when I pulled small groups. And this is in addition to the jam-packed lesson plan. When students transitioned to the small group table, time was of the essence. And needless to say, I wanted to grab student attention immediately. So I always did this activity. I would grab a set of colorful task cards and I would just quickly start sorting them in front of my students. And I would be quick. I would be sorting these, cards would be flying into their own piles, and students were always excited because the cards were fun. I was moving fast. It grabbed attention. And then after I've sorted, say, 5, 8, 10 cards, I would ask students if they could guess how I'm sorting. Maybe I was sorting by shape or by ending sound. And we had a routine. My students knew they couldn't just blurt out how I'm sorting, but if they knew, they think they had it, I would hand them the next card and they would sort it. And that would tell me if they knew or not. And then we would wrap it up and use a turn and talk or whatever was appropriate for that group. But we always did this guess my sort at the beginning of every small group. It was an attention grabber. And of course, it was a great time to check for understanding too. To wrap up, sorting and classification are more than just activities to keep students busy. They are building blocks of independent thinking, cognitive development, and organization. And these skills grow as children grow. So it's never too early to start, and it's always worth revisiting as students move up in age and ability. My homework for you is to go to the show notes and click on the blog post to see more examples. And my challenge is to try out at least one new sorting activity, whether it's with your students or your children at home. and watch how they engage with the task, paying attention to those critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And remember, the goal is independence. So each sorting task is going to help students gain those skills they need to explore and understand and organize that information around them. I hope this episode got you excited for learning and reinforced how important the work you're doing is. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time in the Special Educators Resource Room. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'm dying to ask, what'd you think? Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe buttons so that you never miss an episode. You can find the show notes and links for everything mentioned in this episode at positivelylearningblog.com. See you next week for more special education solutions.